Welcome to the Travel Daily and Cruise Weekly webinar series with Crystal. Today, we're going to delve into the world of Crystal Expedition cruises. And in particular, we're going to learn about Crystal Endeavour's experiences and itineraries. Now, I'm about to go and meet with Crystal's Senior Vice President and Managing Director of Australasia, Christensen. And we have joining with us a special guest, David Sinclair. David, congratulations. It's recently been announced that you're going to be one of the expedition leaders on Crystal Endeavour.
Thanks very much, Jasmine. Yes, very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Crystal Endeavour on the water, and there's some fantastic itineraries, so very, very pleased to be a part of the Crystal family. Thank you.
So David, being the true adventure, welcome to Crystal. And you thought we should go remote today and give people a real touch of what it's like to be on an expedition product. Did you bring the rain?
I wouldn't have it any other way. Rain, hail or shine.
Can you give us a snapshot of your background in expedition?
Sure. Yeah, I've been travelling for a couple of decades now, and I had an interest in expedition a long time ago, and I started out by skiing across the Greenland ice cap in 2005 and back to the Arctic in 2007 to climb some mountains and do some ski touring. And after that, I joined an expedition vessel for the first time in Svalbard and haven't looked back. I've been going to the polar regions every year since and still travelling extensively across the globe. So I'm very much looking forward to some of the itineraries we have at Crystal, and it's a great opportunity for me to work with some amazing people.
And what makes you most excited about joining this new venture with Crystal?
Look, there's a lot of things. It's a great privilege for me to be able to visit some of the places we're going to. I'm very excited about the itineraries and some of the places we're going. Of course, I'm excited by the opportunities we have to share that with people, but I'm also excited as part of the interview process. I discussed Crystal's commitment to the environment and sustainability, and I was very excited to hear that there is a commitment there and an opportunity to engage with conservation and science foundations to use the Crystal Endeavour as a platform where we go to try and preserve and actively conserve some of the places we're going and get our guests involved in that experience.
So, Karen, why has Crystal decided to go into expedition cruising, and what will set Crystal Endeavour apart?
Jasmine, we've been doing a couple of these now, and you've watched the Crystal brand evolve into different market segments from our ocean heritage, really. One of the things heavily driving it is our Crystal Society members that have wanted to be a bit more adventurous. They've done a lot of ocean cruising, but it's not just them. There's an opportunity for Crystal to engage new to Crystal guests where people are looking for bragging rights, really, destinations that they don't normally can access through ships that are not purpose-built for expedition. Crystal has tried this with the ocean product, Crystal Serenity. You might remember we previously spoke about the success of Crystal Serenity doing Northwest Passage in 2016 and 2017, which had such a phenomenal response from our Crystal Society guests. So with Crystal Endeavour coming online and the maiden voyage, we will do Antarctica across the Ross Sea with David's expertise in hand. And then what is exciting is we have introduced already and been on sale for the Northeast Passage, and it's all but sold out.
What's behind growing consumer demand for expedition cruising?
People are looking to escape their day-to-day worlds a bit. I certainly am. And some of these destinations that David's and the team are going to take people to can be life-changing. Like, you know, they're remote, ideally, on some of the true remote expeditions that we'll be doing. They're away from their mobile phones. They're outside of the corporate world and the corporate lifestyle. And I'll never forget my trip to Antarctica. And David and I brag about it, but seeing things like the Penguin Highway it does make you stop. And it's interesting because in the next 3 to 5 years, there's approximately 30 new builds of expedition ships being in production. So I think that in itself also says how popular this segment has become.
I know the ship is currently being built, but what can you tell me about the onboard amenities?
Well, the amenities are one thing, but I think it's important that we also remind our potential travellers that we build all our ships out of a German shipping yard. So there's already a consistency in the hardware of the products that come out as well. So I think that's important. She will have 100 stunning butler serviced, all veranda suites, and penthouse to accommodate 200 passengers. Over 6 dining options, including our hallmark feature of Nobu restaurant, Umi Uma, and the sushi bar, which is across the ocean product as well. Full service Crystal Life salon and spa, and a state-of-the-art fitness centre, and of course, expedition-specific amenities and spaces will enhance the guest experiences, led by an amazing expedition team and the most beautiful mudrooms you'll ever see. And of course there is the helicopter lounge, but David will talk more to that later.
And David, I imagine the expedition team on Crystal Endeavour would be very important. What can you share about the team so far?
Absolutely. The team, you're spot on, the team's very important. It's important that we get a group of experts together, but also people who are really passionate about the places we're going, who have a really good team ethic, humble people who are prepared to go the extra 9 yards to deliver a great experience. So at the moment, we're scouring the globe for those people. We're interviewing people. We've met some fantastic people. I've got to say it's one of the best parts of the job for me is some of the people I get to work with are extraordinary. Some of them are experts in their field, might have studied polar bears for 40 years or dedicated their life to penguin studies or other things, and it's just it's a great opportunity for us to put great teams together for all of the different itineraries, and so we're doing that right now. It's very exciting.
So, what is it like operating in some of the most remote areas of the world?
I'd say two words come to mind. One is challenging. The other one's a privilege. It is a great privilege to visit some of the places we go. It keeps me on my toes, and certainly the expedition team, the captain, everyone on board has to have a very flexible mindset and be open-minded about what we're going to do and see. We'll have a really experienced team on board that will try and make the most of all the opportunities as they present themselves. Of course, we can't control the weather, the sea ice, the wildlife, but we will have people on board who can identify the opportunities and deliver the best we can with the weather and ice that we're given. And of course, we'll be out in all sorts of weather and ice conditions to make the most of it. That is the beauty of those places. So it can be challenging, but it's hugely rewarding as well. So I can't get enough of some of these remote destinations, and I can't wait to share them with Crystal's guests.
Tell me about Crystal Endeavour's 2020 and 2021 itineraries.
Yeah, we've got 3 different categories of voyages, and we've categorised them as follows. There's the remote expedition voyages, and they're those voyages where we've got our equipment and our experts to visit extremely remote locations around the planet, Antarctica, the Arctic, the Aleutian Islands, places like that, where we will have to make up all of the adventures along the way, which is really exciting. Then we have another category, which is we call destination exploration. And that's really a mix of using some of our expedition equipment, some of that remote expedition expertise, and also visiting some more sort of more populated sites which have some existing infrastructure, some cities, and learning more about the culture. The third category will be cultural discovery, and that's going to be a more in-depth look at some of our destinations into the history, the folklore, the culture, places like Japan where we can visit the shrines and temples and really learn more about those cultures. So 3 categories. That's remote expedition, destination exploration, and cultural discovery. Okay, some examples of remote expedition destinations include Antarctica, and in early January we'll be heading to the Ross Sea. We're doing 2 voyages to the Ross Sea, and some of the highlights down there include Shackleton and Scott's huts, the Discovery Hut, and that's on Ross Island with the Mount Erebus volcano as a backdrop, a phenomenal place, and there'll be lots of wildlife. The southernmost penguin colony in the world is at Cape Royds where Shackleton's hut is, so a wonderful few days planned in that region, and up to the northern end of the Ross Sea to Cape Adare, where the first human structure on the Antarctic continent can be found, and that's Borchgrevink's hut. So 2 fantastic remote expeditions there. We've also got a transit of the Northeast Passage in August, starting in August 2021 from Anadyr to Tromsø, going to places like Wrangel Island. We're going to experience polar bears, walrus, some fantastic wildlife, seals and bird life, lots of great history as well in that region, and including the very last landmass found by man. And of course we're looking to visit the Russian Far East and the Aleutian Islands. Very, very remote places, some fantastic wildlife, so very much looking forward to that voyage. That's leaving in June 2021 ahead of the Northeast Passage, so you might want to stay on for a couple of voyages. So moving on to the destination exploration voyages. So we've got a terrific voyage starting September 13, 2020 from Tokyo to Taipei, taking in all sorts of islands across the southern side of Honshu, through Kyushu, the Ryukyu Islands, down through Okinawa to Taipei, so some fantastic exploration to be done in Japan. Starting November 14, 2020, we've got a terrific voyage through Tasmania and New Zealand. So we'll be visiting King and Flinders Islands, Bruny Island, Maria Island, Coles Bay, across the Tasman Sea into the beautiful fjords of Dusky, Doubtful and Milford Sound, and into Stewart Island, which has got some fantastic bird life, some beautiful scenery, on upwards to Dunedin, where of course we can see the Southern Royal Albatross at Tairoa Head and some beautiful things to do there, and into Christchurch. That's a terrific voyage. And of course we've got Expedition Alaska 2 departures. We'll be travelling through the Inside Passage, stopping along the way for some fantastic cultural sites and experiences in Cake, Alaska and Juneau, Alaska. Some fantastic time on board and off the ship with our kayaks and zodiacs in and around Alaska and the coast of British Columbia there. And for the final category, the cultural discovery category, we've got some terrific voyages as well. These include a voyage around Japan. It's an island immersive experience, we've called it, and it departs 15 May. So that's heading off from Tokyo, going right around Honshu into Osaka and taking in some of the remote islands. Japan's made up of nearly 7,000 islands, and there's some great destinations on that voyage. We'll be looking at some of those small villages and out of the way places, taking in the culture and sights of Japan. In April 2021, we've got another great voyage from Singapore to Hong Kong, and this is going to take in the Perhentian Islands, which is a wonderful place to dive and snorkel. Heading into Bangkok, we've got some great overnight stays at Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh, and we'll be visiting some smaller out-of-the-way places like Koh Kat Island in Thailand and into Hoi An, the Marble Mountains and China Beach, a terrific voyage. And a final example, the Norwegian Fjords and Scottish Isles exploration. So that's departing 15 September 2021 from Tromsø, straight after our Northeast Passage transit. Great back-to-back voyages, and we'll be heading down the Norwegian coast there through the Lofoten archipelago down to Bergen and across to the Orkneys and Shetland Islands, where there's terrific bird life, wonderful wildlife, great culture and real stories to tell around the Vikings and some of the local communities there.
Karen, can you share some of the most interesting ports of call that Crystal Endeavour will visit in Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, I think this is great actually, because whilst David's explained the exciting international destinations, there is some fantastic opportunity to really look at Australia and New Zealand, and there are a number of people that still don't like travelling too far or being on aircrafts and don't always get to immerse themselves in this much detail in their own countries, or think they should leave it to later. And I'm just going to say, let's not wait and let's get on to some of these itineraries because they're fantastic. An Indonesian immersive and the Great Barrier Reef itinerary. I mean, Indonesia is not uncommon to the Australian traveller, but this is doing it in an entirely different way in a luxury Crystal Endeavour. It's a fantastic mix of tropical adventure in Indonesia and Australia, and true water lovers voyage with the exploration of Komodo Island, Larantuka, Raja Ampat Islands, the Northern Great Barrier Reef, Lizard Island and the Ribbon Reefs, as well as the Spice Islands, Banda Archipelago. But I also personally like the remote coast of New Zealand. That voyage is departing on the 10th of December 2020 from Auckland to Christchurch. This itinerary visits Ship Cove on the northern tip of New Zealand's South Island, which is where the Motutura sits, an island halfway between the Cove and the Queen Charlotte Sound. Stewart Island and the Ulva Islands are unspoiled havens for birds and wildlife. The Great Australian Adventure itinerary in March 2021, with its historic Australian towns as Middle Island off WA, giving guests a chance to experience Lake Hillier, home to the legendary Pink Lake.
What has been Crystal Endeavour's most sought-after itinerary so far?
Japan's cultural and coastal voyage, which is the second one in our itinerary mix, is already sold out, so that's great. Maiden voyages are always popular when you introduce a new ship with good itineraries and maiden voyages. Northeast Passage is all but full, as is Bali and Borneo voyage, so that's showing popular as well. Very diverse mix.
David, I've heard about Crystal's Northeast Passage itinerary. Why is it such a unique offering for guests?
Like, it's such a rarely transited passage. I think there's only been a handful of passenger ships transit the Northeast Passage, so it's something that's unique in the sense that not many people have done it. There's probably less people that have transited the Northeast Passage than have been down to the Ross Sea, and possibly even less than have even summited Everest. I don't know the numbers, but it's very few people, so it's a very rare and unique voyage. It's a challenging voyage. There's lots of great things to see along the way. I mentioned earlier about the wildlife and the history. So that's a 28-day voyage from Anadir to Tromsø, and I understand it's nearly sold out. So yeah, that's August 2021. Looking forward to that.
Okay, guys, come on. We've talked about expedition. Let's really take off and do this hike that we plan to do.
Should we get a different view? Maybe try a little bit of elevation?
Are you meaning a helicopter? Oh, I'm guessing I'm not taking you on a helicopter. So Crystal Endeavour will have 2 helicopters. Where do you think we'll be able to use these helicopters once we get underway?
Yeah, great question, Karen. Look, I think there's a couple of locations that really stick out for me. I can't wait to get in the helicopter and see some aerial views over the icebergs and sea ice and mountains in Antarctica. It'll be fabulous. Recently, I was just up in the helicopter on the Great Barrier Reef, and the view was phenomenal of the reef, and I'm really looking forward to showing people the beautiful Great Barrier Reef in the air.
So, David, with regards to the possible restrictions in certain areas with the helicopters, can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. Look, there will be places we can't fly those helicopters. Some examples of that are the sub-Antarctic islands, Macquarie and Campbell and South Georgia, where it's strictly prohibited, and for good reason, because there's a very high density of wildlife, and we certainly don't want to cause any problems with that. And also in Antarctica, as a member of IATO, the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, it's part of our wilderness etiquette not to fly any of our helicopters around other operations. So we really want to be mindful when we do use those helicopters that we don't interfere with other people's activities. But and there may be a few other places around the world where we are unable to fly. But really looking forward to getting the helicopters in the air and getting a very different perspective on some of the beautiful landscapes and places where we'll visit.
But aside from these helicopters, we're going to have lots of other good discovery equipment available to our guests. Can you expand on the other equipment we will have on board?
Yeah, sure. Look, I should just mention with the helicopters as well that they will be a great form of discovery equipment, particularly in the polar regions. We'll be able to use those to scout a little bit and potentially even to scout our way through some pack ice and things and looking for leads, so it'll be a good tool for that as well. We will come with a great fleet of Zodiacs, Mark 5 and Mark 6 Zodiacs. That's for transferring people around, running Zodiac cruises to look at some of the wildlife and landscapes. We're going to have a number of double kayaks on board, so we'll have a kayaking program which we can operate in all regions of the Earth. We'll have dry suits for the colder regions. We'll have a gyro stabilised camera technology on board, so we'll be able to beam images into people's cabins, and a remote operated vehicle for that purpose too. And of course a submersible, which can accommodate up to 6 guests and a pilot, which will open up some other opportunities under the ocean for those intrepid travellers coming to join us on Crystal Endeavour.
Yeah, fantastic. Having done Antarctica myself and other expedition destinations, the true magic, of course, is the flexibility. But the flexibility you yourself and the captain are going to have to make these decisions and when opportunities present themselves, which is very different from our ocean offering. It must be just a kid's best wish, is it?
Well, it is a dream in many ways. That's why I'm doing this job, and it's a great thrill to arrive at a place and particularly in the remote locations where there is no infrastructure and no people to figure out what we're going to do and to make the most of the conditions. I love the polar regions in particular, because every time I go there, every single voyage I've done over the past 12 years has been different. We've had very different experiences and incredible experiences. So it is great. The thrill of expedition is the flexibility, or really the things that are unexpected that happen along the way, and for that we all need an open mind and also a flexible mindset. For us also it's part of our job as an expedition team to make the passengers feel comfortable and know that they're in the hands of experts, people that are passionate about the regions they're travelling to, very experienced and are really motivated to share that experience and make the most of all those opportunities to make this the best experience possible with the conditions we're given.
Fantastic. And whilst it's important and the ship is being built and there's lots going on with the hardware itself and launching in August next year, there's lots going on from your side of things. So between now and then, do you want to share what goes into pulling an expedition trip together, or some of the highlight things that you have to do?
Oh, sure. Look, we're doing lots of different things, and I've got a very busy 12 months, as you mentioned. So lots of site visits, looking to maximise opportunities, identify opportunities and plan for all of our visits in some of the destinations around the world, getting out to the shipyard, making sure all the equipment has a home and that we have a proper plan in place for deploying the equipment. We're looking around to find some fantastic experts. I've been having some wonderful conversations with people around the world to join us on our very different itineraries. It's one of the great thrills of this job is to work with some incredible people with incredible experience. So lots to do, very exciting, and going to be a very busy 12 months. And yes, we're not that far from launch when I think of that.
No, it's not far. David, this has been fantastic. Thanks for suggesting that we took the view from above. But it's time for me to head back to the office where we're safely on the ground, I guess. So thanks again.
Thanks so much, Karen. Thanks so much for having me. It's a great privilege.
And to our viewers, thank you for watching. This is the final episode in our webinar series with Crystal Cruises. Now, don't forget to enter the competition to win a Crystal cruise. The details are highlighted in your registration.